right, good. Hey, hello, everybody. I'm Wes Taylor. You're listening to At Home with Wes as we broadcast out of our flagship station here in Music City, 1510 WLAC and 98.3 on the FM side. It's so good to be back with you. Ruben, don't go anywhere. We had quite a morning so far. I got a riddle for you.
Hey, I'm glad to be back, too.
I'll bet you are.
Be back
hey,
somewhere.
Here's my riddle. When does being early almost make you late?
When does being early?
I'm not going to do this to you. I'm not going to do this to you on live radio. Oh yeah.
I'm not.
Good thing I left early this morning. That's what I thought. Silence. We got to get some sound effect. I need a cricket. No.
Because I'm like, what?
I need the eagle that, like, when you're out in the desert and all you see is bones everywhere. You hear the eagle in the distance, the hawk or whatever. Yeah, way off in the. They got a lot of reverb on it. It's like a Western movie.
I know what you're talking about.
We're so glad. I'm glad to see Ruben for sure this morning, and a little bit of a rush. And by the way, it's warm today. I got a short sleeve shirt on, and I think the feels like temperature's up around 10. What's that? Every Saturday morning we do this. We get up and it's like 40 below zero. Yeah. It's just on this Saturday we come in.
It's like by the time the people wake up, like they're waking up now, your car isn't froze like mine was at the crack of dawn.
Well, I've got when it's like this, I pull the truck in. I pull it in the garage. I've got a garage, thank goodness.
Yeah, you're lucky guy.
Because as much as it rains, as wet as it is, as cold as it is, you come out, you won't be able to open your door.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happened my way. It was like 50 degrees yesterday, and then it rained, and then now it's no degrees outside. So cars froze.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're a live talk, this is not pre-recorded. We do our live thing. I like to be here. I want to be with my peeps.
No doubt.
My brother, my younger brother.
No doubt.
I was going to say,
come on. That's what we do.
Remember Brian? You produced Brian and Jay. And Brian, if you're listening, Jay, great guys, great builders, great HVAC, the whole deal. They had a great show. They were a lot more. I come in here and I just load people up with details and information and so forth. But you produced that show. And when I would listen to you, I hadn't met you yet because I had John Butler as my producer.
True.
And it's
one time the Butler.
He got sports down and all this, and he's really serious. And I thought, man, if I ever get back on the air, they can't assign him to me because he may not have a sense of humor. And I get in here, and you're probably one of the funniest people ever. You're
talking about me?
Yeah, you're probably one of the funniest friends I've got. Because we are friends for sure. Yeah, you're right. Pat yourself on the back end.
Hey!
They can't see you, but I can. All 6'4", 6'5" actually. You grew a little. You got your cowboy boots on.
I'm like the wrestler. I don't know if you remember him. His name was Michael P.S. Hayes, and the P.S. stood for Purely Sexy. I am 200 pounds of twisted steel and all sex appeal, and that's what it is. You are welcome, Nashville and America.
All right. Do not do this to me.
Hey,
I'm looking over there. He's got something sticking out of his face, and his eyes are big.
You asked for it, man.
Yeah, sure I did. Well, first of all, I got side rails. I love talking to you. We don't get a chance to do that very much.
We don't.
I think I get a lot of feedback from the show. You guys can contact me, Wes at Radio Wes. Wes at Radio Wes. It's pretty easy. Whether you want to, critique, I'll give you Ruben's email address. But or if you want to sponsor or you want to give me something, what do you want to hear about? You let me know. But so we're also going to be changing how you get a hold of me, but you can always get me at Wes at Radio Wes. New book, it's out. And got a new title, and we changed that. And I hired somebody to run my deal. Trust him completely. He is amazing. So the new book is called Successful and Profitable Home Ownership, the Kick Butt Guide. How's that? Successful and Profitable Home Ownership. Basically the same content. So those of you who have already bought a book, it's a collector's item, right? And then soon we're going to begin filming in here and bring these things to you in podcast form, but a live podcast form. That's great. What else do we have going here? Oh, yeah. We'll do a little admin. We've got my neighbor, literally, when I'm out there drinking coffee, she's out there drinking coffee, and Candace Price, and she's a big shot here with iHeart, and she puts together this. We do it. You've been there, wine on the river in the summertime. put on your flip-flops and your shorts and your hat. Go out and get over 130 adult sparkling beverage types. And we do that in the winter as well. It's called Wine in the Winter. And it is at the, oh my gosh, why do I keep forgetting? The Hilton. It's at the Hilton.
The Hilton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Hilton downtown.
The Hilton.
And February 19th from 5 to 9. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can go on, go to the website, wineinthewinter.com, and get your tickets. Very reasonable. It's a lot of fun. I definitely will be there. And I plan to have some beverages. So if any of you are going to stay sober, you can give me the ride home. How about that? Last week, we had a great guest. He's also a very good friend. He has become a sponsor. I don't know if they had time to roll him in. I was here this week. I was at recording commercials for a couple of new sponsors that we have. But Dan Rousso is a home inspector. Dan is multidimensional. I mean, he's there to inspect. He's not emotional about it. He is a former builder, licensed general contractor. He knows his way around a house. I hate to say this on the air, better than I do. He really does. And he's got all the equipment to do it and so forth. By the way, his company is Home Group Inspection Services. Home Group Inspection Services. And if you need, you realtors, you homeowners who are thinking about selling, you sellers, you in particular should have a really thorough home inspection before you put your house on the market. Your realtor may have told you that, but I'm telling you that now, okay? And the reason why is, well, we're a seller's market. I don't need to. They'll buy it as is. Wrong, because you got a lot of realtors out there like me. I'm going to find it. And the things that Dan can't report about, I will report to my client, the buyer. And there are a lot of great realtors out there who will do that. Thank you, Ruben. Boy, time flies, doesn't it, friend? So you can call Dan, 615-456-8586. 456-8586 to finish that train of thought that if it is a seller's market and you have all these offers and somebody's coming in from San Francisco or Manhattan and they come in and they're offering you $100,000 or one of these companies $150,000 more than you're asking, you don't want that deal blown because they catch a few things that would be deal breakers if they don't know otherwise. Remember, a lot of these buyers are not master builders, right? Think about it. So let's make sure you sellers, before you put your house on the market, what you charge for home inspection, especially have Dan do it, and how thorough he is. To me, paying a few $100 is so much better than getting in there and losing a deal. Well, we didn't know. Well, you need to know. If you're going to sell it, you need to know your product. You realtors, if you're going to sell it, you need to know your product. That's what today's show is about, at any rate. There are things that you need to know, realtors. Today, I'm going to make you real mad. And get you real mad at me. But I'm also going to make you a better realtor. It's so simple. Homeowners, same way. Buyers, this show is for you. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. Really am. At home with Wes. What a joy. That's where he walks in, the young hotshot Navy pilot walks in, and they're all there in the bar drinking at Top Gun School, and they're all in there. I think they're in their...
I did not know that.
I can't remember if they're in their khakis or if they're khaki colors or they're dress whites. Yeah, and he walks up to her and he starts singing that song. And Cruz doesn't, he's not a singer, clearly. Uh-huh. And he sings that song and it became famous again.
Really?
Yeah. And then speaking of Steve Cropper, so then all of a sudden, he meets her and he's going to go to her place for dinner. He's on the motorcycle and he gets there and he's really late. And they're sitting there and she puts on a record and it's Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay. Oh. So these songs, great songs, just keep coming back. Yeah, the song will happen. You got good music this morning, brother.
Thank you.
You always do.
You
got a little Stones.
I'm feeling the Rolling Stones, Righteous Brothers. You never know who might come out next.
I was talking about our guest last week. You got to meet him, big Don Rousso. Mm-hmm. And we've got two sponsors now that are coming on.
Okay.
And one of them, as I said, and I bet they run those today because the new ad for the book, somebody up in Sacramento did that, and they changed the title. So we may be up to date here. We may hear these commercials today. I hope so, because the one with Big Chris Cinciolo Painting, that piece was genius. And he and I went in there with Lonnie one day. Okay. And I said, here's what I like to do. He did it. And then Lonnie did the magic and did the editing. The commercial is awesome. I hope they play it here.
That's cool.
You have a good reason to listen to the commercials. So we got Dan Rousso coming up, Home Group Inspection Services. Dan, great, best home inspector I know. He's a great friend, and boy, he's the guy you want on your team, whether you're a seller, a buyer, or the realtor. Okay, guys, 615 456-8586. 456-8586. We also want to give a big shout out to our other new sponsor, Chris Cianciolo. It's kind of, he and I were raised by Italian women, so we know how to pronounce it. Even though I think I pronounce his name better than he does. How about that? Oh, yeah. So he's just Big Chris. And we're going to talk a lot about what he does. He has taught me a lot about value over the years. And, he's not the guy, neither am I, or Chuck or any of us. You don't put us into the bid process. We're not going to work 2 weeks out of the year putting together bids. You want the best, you want it priced fairly, and you want it done correctly, right? And that's Chris. And I'm going to shoot from memory here, but I think I know it's area code 615. I think it's 445-5053. 445-5053. He's an amazing builder, amazing contractor. He has an amazing team. They know everything about paint, stain, preservation, and pressure washing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So here's what I'd like to talk to you about today. I'm going to make some friends today. I'm going to lose some, okay? We did a show a few weeks back about the home purchase and the house purchase, how it is so incredibly emotional. So many decisions are made based on fantasies that the buyers create as they walk through the property or come up to it or go out on the back deck. It rarely is there somebody there, because you got your friend there, you got your realtor there that wants you to buy it, get the commission check, and everybody's happy, and I get, another notch in my proverbial gun belt. And when you walk, you go through the front door, you smell. What do you smell? Does it smell good or is it funky? You've lost the sale at that point, especially if it's cat urine. But you walk in, and it smells so good, and look at all the natural light. And you're not looking at the windows and what size they are and which direction the sun's coming in. You're really not. And you're standing there in the living room, and here's this beautiful fireplace. You're not looking at the fireplace. Because I'll take you out on the front porch, and I'll say, okay, I got a couple of questions for you. John and Barbara. What kind of fireplace is it? Is it wood burning or is it gas? If it's gas, is it vented or is it vent free? I don't know. Well, you looked at it for more than a couple of minutes. You're standing there looking at it because they're not seeing a fireplace. They're seeing visions in their heads of their future and the fireplace, right? Little Christmas tree over there and Johnny over here and bearskin rug over here. Oh, yeah. They're in fantasy land. And in this industry, we kind of hope that doesn't get arrested. But when I'm a realtor, okay, and there's been times where I'm not even the realtor, but the person calls me up and said, hey, would you take a look at this? Because I'm a nice guy, I said, yeah, I will, but I'm going to tell you something. Your realtor should already know these things. Somebody's got to be the voice of reality when you're making huge purchases. What else do you buy that costs $500,000? $800,000, $2 million. A lot of you listeners I know are out buying 767s, right? I know several of you. You've got your Learjet, and you've got your house over here. You got your house in Malibu. You got your house down in Gulf Shores. But for the average American, that is an awful lot of money. And it doesn't come with an owner's manual, does it? My book, Successful and Profitable Homeownership, that'll get you pretty close. So somebody's got to keep you grounded in reality. Who is that person? I'm going to talk about this today because I'm going to tell you things that I see when I walk onto a property that is either being hidden, that the realtor is not addressing, and that the home inspector can't report on. Does this sound intriguing to you? If I can hit all of them, it's going to be maybe a little sterile at times. I try to throw a story in here or there to keep it interesting, all right? Now, what we said a few weeks back, my first year of college, and I walked in, and I can't remember what class it was, probably sociology or one of those disciplines. And there were, I don't know, probably 200 of us. And the professor comes out, and this is the first thing he says. The things that attract you most to your partner are the things that you will end up resenting the most in the end. And I don't know if that's true or not. I probably is. Because when we pick our partners, just like we pick a house, most of the time we don't do it based on facts. We do it based on what our brain tells us. Wow, is she cute? Wow, would she be fun to go to the, wow, would this be good? We could go to the, and you're thinking all these things about the future. and this person. They're very attractive to you in many ways, right? And as you get to know them, you find out that she's just not what I thought she was. Well, what did you think she was? You weren't thinking rationally. You were thinking with your heart. You were in fantasy land. That's the way love works. And it's no different with your house. When you're buying a house, when you're picking a house. And there's going to be a lot of things about that partner that end up being pretty close to your fantasy. Let's call it that. I'm being clean here. And there's many things about that new house or that home of yours. They're going to turn out to be great, just like you envisioned. But what if it isn't? See, in a house, you can get a contractor. Come in, let's move a wall. Hey, can we get some window treatments on? This room is too hot, and the sun's coming in. We really like the open floor plan and the big windows, but we don't have any privacy. The sun's baking us to death. We can't keep the thing cool in the summer. In a relationship, you can't do that, can you? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? You could get a contractor, Ruben, and you say, hey, listen, here's the problem that I'm having with her. Can you? They bring out the tools and they back up the truck and they hook up all the stuff and they go to work and fix it. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But I have a similar thing to say right here on this.
Okay. I'm not gonna. You do it. I'm not looking. I'm not gonna look at you when you do it.
I'm just say this.
He's got a pencil sticking out of his ear.
I just gotta say this. Dating is kind of like buying a home.
Very much.
It is. It is. If you're gonna pay a lot of money if it's already all well put together, but if you get you a fixer upper and y'all fix each other up, so to speak, in the long run you'll be glad you were that one.
You know what? You want to marry those two together, no pun intended. What you do is you both want to get in there and restore the property and make it your own.
Exactly.
And you do, and you love the place. You saved some money. You knew what you were doing. Nobody got injured. Mm-hmm. It is so rare. The divorce statistics, and by the way, I'm not going to be a sexist about this. Let me give you another example. You get in there, and he's so cute. He's great. He's got great friends, and that back deck turns out to be where he and his buddies hang out every weekend night. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, he's passing out on the back deck every night. So much for the fantasy of we're going to be cooking and have Janice and Steve over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
All the guys.
The divorce statistics, and the amount of contracting that people do contract with contractors to make changes once they get in. That number's pretty high, too. That's why we got builders. That is also why, one of the first shows we did, why when your grandparents, Ruben, your grandparents, my grandparents, when they bought a house, they didn't say, oh, I love the location, and look at the shiplap, and look, everything is spray painted white. I want it. That wasn't how they bought a house. That's how you buy a house today. How they bought a house back then was, as I'm looking up, I'm looking at the eaves, I'm looking at the gable, look here, gotcha, and I'm looking over here, look at the windows, what quality are they, what kind of flooring is it, what weight is the carpet, and the reason is because our parents and grandparents knew what quality was, and they could identify when it wasn't quality. And in other words, you didn't just, I know my grandparents, they didn't just call up a contractor, they fixed it themselves. And that's the way those generations were. Today, we buy some, oh, it looks so good. Never mind that it's, a foot away from the house next door? You'll never be able to get equipment between the houses. You'll never be able to get a ladder up there. You can't get a bucket in there. Well, I know, but we love the location. It's brand new. The thing is glued together. Everything's plastic. I could go on and on about that. So I want to make sure, and as we talk about this today, that when we're looking at properties, and we're looking at houses, that we stay grounded. I had a really good client who I knew her specific needs. They were very unique. And she was an artist, very good artist. She was a surgical nurse. And she was an artist, so we needed a kiln, which means an outbuilding, which means 220. So I'm looking at panels. We're looking at we got to have concrete out there. We also know that, as she was a client of mine in the rental business, we also know that this house will eventually become a rental. So I'm not going to let her get a 3-1, right? Adults have to rent at these prices. They all want their own bathroom. So at minimum, we're going to get a 3-2. I'd like 2 living areas, those kind of things. Because as the realtor, I'm asking these questions. I'm looking at these things, and I'm talking out of the things that I know are going to be an absolute heartache that nobody's going to report. A few of them are going to surprise you. And we're going to talk about that when we get back. You and I.
Hey, I am from Memphis.
Yeah, you are. And I love Memphis. Of course.
Oozes out of my pores.
Yes. Well, rock and roll, really, the birthplace of rock and roll is Memphis.
This is true.
In many ways. You got Stax Records.
Yeah.
You got Jerry Lee.
Mm-hmm.
You got Elvis.
Yeah.
You got all those great singers, Sam and Dave. And then what a lot of people don't know is that really the country music capital of the world was Bakersfield, California, forever.
Was it?
Yeah. And then Chet Atkins, is a very young, and this city was run by Ernest Tubb and Fists, not contracts. This, you'll do what I say. And they said, yes, sir. And he ran the thing. Well, Atkins wants to come down here. Mm-hmm. And he says, we got to turn this into the country music thing. So what he said was, we got to take this. We got to have some big guys that know how to fight.
Okay.
They brought in Carl Perkins, big. Brought in Johnny Cash, big. This kid down in Texas. Can he sing? Yeah, he can sing. He's a great writer, but he's got fists. They brought him in. Waylon Jennings. Yeah, and they brought Buck Owens and they brought Merle Haggard. They brought all the tough guys. They came and said, here's what we're doing. And this is the way it's going to be.
Really?
Whereas Tubb and those guys went on their way. Here come the fancy suits, the pointy boots, and the honky-tonk sound. That's what happened. And
there it is right there.
There it is. And that's why we are now in Middle Tennessee, Nashville in particular, is Music City. We've been that way since the 60s. Isn't that something?
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Welcome back to, because that has everything to do with house and home and real estate. Doesn't it? Well, it does have to do with quality of life.
I was just about to say, you tied it in perfectly, in my opinion.
Isn't that time for us to get raises? Is that what it is?
Hey, you're talking my language now.
Well, welcome back to At Home with Wes. I'm Wes Taylor, America's general contractor. Together, we're bridging the gap between homeowners and their homes. We've got our new book out, Successful and Profitable Homeownership, the Kick Butt Guide. It really is the best housewarming gift you can have. If you're a homeowner, guys, you got to read this thing. It tells you, I'm not going to sit there and teach you how to fix a hole in the roof. You shouldn't be up there anyway. Not if you don't have experience on ladders. You know how many stories I've come, for some reason this week at my gym, I'm down at Maryland Farms Y. How many people have had ladder accidents recently? It's weird. It's like, oh, really? Well, how was your age? I'm like, well, what happened? Well, he's just cleaning a window, it fell off, and he's been in a coma for a month. Another guy said, oh, yeah, well, I've got a friend. He was on a ladder, and he fell, and he broke his neck, too. I'm like, what's going on with people on ladders? What I'm here to do, my book, and what I do here on the air, is I'm going to try to increase your quality of life in that one place where everything important to you comes together. Think about that. That's home. I'm never going to bring you a sponsor, ever allow a sponsor here who doesn't have your back first. How do you pay for that? People are coming in. They're going to be just a couple feet away from your kids, a couple feet away from the dresser, which got your cash in it, or your jewelry or whatever. And I'm not saying that contractors we don't know are thieves. Come on. You got to know who's working there. You got to make sure. You have to know that they do correct billing. You have to know that they understand how to do what they do better than anybody else. If you could get that person, hire them. Yeah, but those guys, $200 less. I don't care. You're going to hire the very best you can get. So drink 2 less bottles of bourbon for the year. Get this done. Pay the extra couple $100. Those are the sponsors that I bring to you. I'm here to increase your quality of life. I'm here to keep you safe. I'm here from getting you sued, from getting injured. And today, what we've been talking about, I've got pages of notes. We will probably get through the first page. That's how fast time goes. Flies. Whatever it is. And we're talking about, and I'm going to just recapture here. You've got a home purchase, which is very emotional because it's based largely on fantasy. When we look at things about that house, we're picturing ourselves there in some capacity with that particular part of the house, whether it be the deck. Oh, look at the kitchen. Love the island. And all of these other things that you just fall in love with. And we ignore reality, and we ignore things that we're going to be responsible. What's it going to be like to live there a year from now? Well, we don't know because we're fantasizing about it. What's it going to be like to live there in 5 years from now? Where's he going with this? What I'm talking about. Okay, tell me about the concrete. What's the condition of the concrete? Well, it's clean. It looks good. No cracks. And I'm going to tell you when I'm there, if I'm your realtor, no, it's not in great shape. It's in great danger. Well, how's that possible? All right. when I get a hold of a property, say somebody emails it to me or we get it on the MLS, right? Multiple listing service. Or maybe someone sends me a link to it and I look at the property. The first thing, now, realtors, here's where I'm going to talk to you. The first thing I do is I put on my realtor hat. I know what my client's needs are. Remember, we talked about that. This one here's an artist, but this one, she's also going to get a dog. But she also needs she needs a fenced-in backyard. She's also going to turn the property eventually into a rental property. With rental prices being like this, we know that adults are going to have to rent it and be roommates. How many adults and roommates want to use one little bathroom? No. So we got to buy this thing. We make sure there's at least 2 bathrooms, preferably 3, if not 2.5. I need a couple bigger areas. That way later we can convert the thing into a rental property. That's what this particular client does. So I have to know what their needs are. I ask a lot of questions. In fact, I ask a lot of questions to my future clients because I need to know, one, it's a great way to find out, hey, can I work with this personality? Are they hotheads? Not interested. Are they going to stay in la-la land? Or are they going to complain about everything? Or do they fight all the time? I don't want to be stuck in a car with those people, let alone a house. I'm going to give you my best. I need to know more about you because I'm going to help you solve your problems. Guys, the people who make the most money, think about this, on the planet. I'm not talking about the top 5 guys. I'm talking about the majority of people. It's because they solve other people's problems. They approach things with the heart of a teacher. So what's the first thing I do? Well, the first thing I do is I pull up the address. I look at it online. I don't trust the pictures because you'll see the pictures. The house looks kind of ragged. You get there, and this is like the diamond in the rough. Or you look at it, the pictures. Oh, my God, look how beautiful it is. Look at all the shiplap. Look at all the white paint. It's beautiful. It looks like a dentist office. Let's go get it. First thing I do is I look at the address. Now, I know several towns like the back of my hand, especially Middle Tennessee. I know, okay, this one's over in this part of town. So there's a couple things that are going to come to mind for me. Oh, this one's down in Brentwood. Brentwood and North Nashville, they're very different, right? Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the crime statistics. These people want to live downtown. Okay, we know downtown, the more closer to downtown you get, the higher the crime rate. I want to go on the crime. I'm going to look to see what crimes, what kind of crimes. I'm going to look up that area. I'm going to look up the street. And if I can, I'm going to look up that house in particular. Okay? Because the pictures don't tell me anything. They just show me, they don't show me what's next door, across the street, behind me. They don't show what the intersection's, what closest intersection. It doesn't tell me where the pervs, the convicted pervs, where they're living. I want to know this stuff. I'm not going out there to show this woman a house. If you've got a convicted, rapist right across the street, this is what you should do if you're the buyer. And because it's your responsibility, it's not your realtor's responsibility, but if you're a good realtor, you've already done this. You want to make more money. You want to be better. This realtor is more thorough. This saved our butt, just like Dan Rousso, our home inspector. Second thing I do, you're going to love this one. I never visit a property that I'm going to buy or where I'm representing somebody. Realtors, this is for you also, and homeowners especially, and existing homeowners who aren't even selling their properties yet. This one's for you, all right? I go to the FEMA website, FEMA, and I look up the floodplain and flood mapping. Different areas have different codes. So here's a great example of something. In fact, Dan was a part of this with me. So we get to this property, and way back, in the very back of the property, probably well over an acre, and well past the yard proper, and there's a creek. Well, I know, of course, I've been here 30 years, but I also know that just in the last handful of years, we've had massive major floods. So I know that FEMA is on this. That's where you go to look at the floodplain. So when these people bought the house, because it shows when it dated and when it was changed, the flood mapping always changes, right? It's constantly changing. And the floodplain was all the way back there at the creek. This couple, whoever the sellers were, they bought the house. And they lived there. Well, in that time that they've owned the house, the flood mapping changed. Now watch this. So we're looking at it. Oh my goodness, the floodplain, now it's at the back of the patio. How did it get that far out of the banks? Now the floodplain is at the end of the back patio. And here's where it gets interesting. First of all, the mortgage people were balking at it, saying, "Well, we need to have the underwriter look at this because this is awfully close to the floodplain." Well, the couple selling it, they have no idea. The realtor has no idea. Here is the deal. Well, we walked away from the property for other reasons. We did a pass or fail. Dan went in there, found out some things that weren't going to work. Whoever buys that house, listen to this. And somebody did buy that house. Whoever buys that house will likely statistically never be able to sell it. Why? Because companies aren't going to issue mortgages to houses that are right in the middle of the floodplain. And when we had those big floods last March, I drove down there a couple days after the storm. The water had been up to the bottom of the windows. The house was totaled. But they can't sell it. Wait till they go to try to sell it. Let's look where the floodplain mapping is at that point. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to waste time looking at a house that my client can't sell. Well, yeah, we can sell it to somebody with cash. People with cash aren't going to waste money on that. All right, going by again, we're out. We'll be right back in a couple. You probably don't know this either. A lot of folks, well, you saw the Buddy Holly story, and I think Gary Busey played that. But I also like Buddy Holly. He's a Texas boy. He's a little out there.
Okay.
And there was this young guitar player that he'd become familiar with, and a little guy named Waylon Jennings.
All right.
And so Buddy Holly said, "Man, I'd like you to play bass for me." And Waylon said, "Well, I don't play the bass." He said, "Man, we're not starting for another 20 minutes. Go play it and learn it."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's pretty. If you're a really good guitar player, you can play bass pretty easily because those are the four big strings of the guitar. Mm-hmm. So you kind of know your way around the bass notes.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of texture and so forth. But with Buddy Holly, he was just pumping right at it.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess that night that they were all coming back, it was recently here. We had the anniversary. Big Bopper was on the airplane. Richie Valens was on the airplane, and I guess Waylon, one of them was sick or something. Mm-hmm. He said, "Man, I hope your car breaks down." And Waylon said back to Buddy, "Well, I hope your plane crashes." And the plane crashed, killed everybody. A lot of people don't know that story, and Waylon had to carry that for years and years. Probably you carry something like that your whole life, and you're just joking.
Don't forget that. Yeah,
and that was a different time. He's not the kind of guy to go get therapy, Mm-hmm. So, well, that's positive. It costs rather gloom of the morning, hasn't it?
Yeah, but we're good. I mean, hey, a Waylon Jennings story is a Waylon Jennings story still.
Yeah, we can make space for a Waylon Jennings story. I don't know why I'm telling country music history today.
Hey, country music is the heart of the country, and home is where the heart is with Wes.
Will you make quilts too, or what? You're going to go home today after work and
do a little knitting. Yeah, it's in my agenda.
So today we were talking about, and I'm not even getting close to getting to all the material I want to talk to you about because time goes by and we mess around quite a bit. We got to have fun. And if I just sit here and give you a bunch of facts, it's not going to be very entertaining. If you're not entertained, you're not going to listen. If you don't listen, I can't improve your quality of life. And you can't. If we don't bring Ruben in, you don't have somebody to laugh at, right? So today we're talking about the way we purchase a house, and it's very emotional, and we're not really seeing and looking for things because we're not house experts. We're fantasizing. We're walking through there, and our realtor is pointing out, well, look at all the natural light. Oh, I love the kitchen cabinets. Great, realtor. We needed you for that. We're going to give you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 for that. Well, you do the contracts also, right? Well, you just download them. Yeah, it's the way they're written for sure. And a lot of realtors don't even know how to write it to really protect their client. Now, a bunch of you are mad at me right now, but you know what? I bet you there's a lot more realtors out there, because I'm a realtor too. I bet you there's a lot more realtors out there saying, yes, finally somebody said it. As hard as I work and as well, I've come to know houses. I've come to know the basics. And I've seen realtors do that. And it's like, when you come on Prem, you're going to see things that a lot of other people don't see. But as we talked about, you're going to get to know your client. I need to know, I know you're going to move over there and you want to move over there, but why? Well, it's a school system. Okay, why that school system? I always ask the why. I want to know the why. Why? Well, it's a housing shortage. Well, the news said that there's a housing shortage. That's not news. We already know that. Why is there a housing shortage? And that's what we exhausted here for a couple of weeks. Guys, I had I've told this before. It's about a year ago, and I'm sitting at the island having my coffee and listening to the Wall Street Journal this morning. And the story was that 70%, the new survey said that 70% of all millennials who have purchased a house, 70%, regret doing so. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I almost kind of even slumped a little bit. It doesn't really affect my brand. People always buy houses. And I thought, what? Why? And I'm saying maybe it's got to have something to do with responsibility. And ultimately it did. Well, it's too much work. Well, it's too expensive. So I'm thinking, well, it comes down to personal responsibility, and that's the way it is. And then I got to thinking, maybe not. Maybe not. Who was your realtor? Who else looked at the property? Well, we had a home inspection. No. That's not enough. Who's there to do the forensics? Well, did you buy a fixer-upper that you could afford? Then you went into it. You should have expected. There's a lot to do here. But what if you went in, do a fixer-upper, you had somebody build a what do you call it? A good schedule, we call it the critical path, a good schedule and a budget to get these things done. Well, we do need cabinets. Yeah, we need new countertops. Well, we got to get rid of this carpet, and we found out there's hardwoods. Life is going to be great. There are 100 other things that could go wrong with the house that may be wrong with the house when you buy it, but you don't see it. The home inspector can't report on it or doesn't see it. Remember, that report is time-stamped. It's not going to tell you it's raining and there's water in the crawl space because it hadn't rained in 3 or 4 weeks. It's dry down there. He can't say, well, it's full of water. Well, water's been there and water's going to be there. They can't predict the future like that. Did you or your realtor look into the crawl space? When you pulled up to the property, did you look at the lot? Is there a high side? Is there a low side? On the high side where it hits the house. Well, yeah, there was a bunch of beautiful mulch. Was it new? Oh, it was. What was it hiding? Because I don't, that's a rhetorical question. That's at the high side of the property. I know water, especially in 3/4 of the country. You know, Denver doesn't get a whole lot of rain. Phoenix doesn't get a whole lot of rain. Los Angeles doesn't get a lot of rain. 3/4 of the country gets rain and snow, heavy snow sometimes. So what I want to know is where it's hitting, is there erosion? Nope. And the home inspector can't say there is because there's all this new plants and all this beautiful mulch. That's deceptive. Now, water gets into a crawl space or a basement how? Either from the sides or from a broken pipe, something inside the house, or it comes up from underneath, especially in the South. Is there evidence that water's been there? Well, the home inspector said there's not a flooding problem. We don't have any water problem down there. That's right, because sun's been out for it barely hasn't rained. Sun's been out for 3 weeks to a month. When you go, so here's my thing. Did 70% of the millennials who bought a house who wish they didn't? There's something else I want to know that it doesn't include. What kind of house did they buy? Did they buy something that a family has lived in or two generations have lived in, built in 1939 to 1972 or 1973? Because those are the very best houses that were ever built. Best foundations, best framing. Nah, they might need electrical updates. That's fine. I'm talking about the bones. I'm talking about the yard. I'm talking about the things that have to stand the test of time. No, this one was built in 98. No, this one was built in 1914. There's so much that you have to know. And I'm going to talk about this next week, too, because I really want to get into all the things that I see. In fact, we're filming, we tried last week. This week, we're going to try to film the first online course that I'm going to give. It'll be one of those things hardly anything. You'll be able to get in, buy it, and see it. All realtors, all sellers, all buyers should need to go in and they need to see this class. Because I exhausted. I've got pictures, I got video, and the whole thing. You need to know basic forensics when it comes to looking at a house or a property or a condo. The basics about a roof. The basics about the lay of the land. Something is the FEMA maps. We talked about that last quarter. Don't be the one who buys the house that it's going to be condemned over the next 2 years, and now you can't sell it. Imagine that. So much for the American way of the average American finally being able to achieve wealth through real estate, long-term equity, the rental business. Maybe stuck with it as a rental, maybe. You need to know basic forensics. And here's the other thing. We've talked about this too. If I'm going to buy stocks and bonds, investment products, why on earth would I have a money manager or somebody to pick those for me who doesn't understand stocks and bonds and mutual funds and traditional investment instruments better than anybody else? Think about that. Why would I go to a cardiologist who doesn't know the heart inside and out? See what I'm talking about? Why would I use a realtor who doesn't understand the basics? Well, we got the home inspector. Yeah, but the place is dry when you got there. Let me tell you, moisture, do you know that 40 to 60% of the air that you breathe in your house comes from your crawl space, if you're on a crawl space? What kind of air is down there? Did you look? What tools do you have with you as a realtor when you go to look at a house? What tools do you have as a buyer when you go to look at a house? You've got to have a tape measure. You have to. Well, why? Well, here, you have to have a 20-foot tape measure. Well, most spaces in houses are 20 feet or less, most of them. Also, you've got a list of your belongings, your big items, your couch. What are the measurements? Your refrigerator, if you got one. What are the measurements? Your artwork, your mirrors, your credenzas, your hutches, your beds, your dressers. What are the measurements? Because I'm going to get in there. Oh, I love the open floor plan. And the realtors all, look at the wonderful lighting. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love the cabinets. Ooh, look at these hardwood floors. Well, they're not real hardwoods. They're rubber or plastic. What are the measurements? You bought the house. You found out there's no place to put your furniture, your artwork. You're going to have to stick the couch in the middle of the room. Where are you going to put the TV? There's no place to put the TV. So you're going to have a tape measure. Next thing you're going to have is a flashlight. Okay? And this is because I need you to, if you're going to be spending $500,000, $600,000, $2 million, I want you to see in the cabinets, to the back of the cabinets. Wow, a lot of water damage. Or behind the refrigerator. I want you to be able to open up that crawl space door and just take a peek in there. What does it smell like? Is there evidence on the walls? Anything like that? That there's been water there at any time? Are you looking at the plastic in the crawl space? The vapor barrier? Do you see where water has maybe pooled at some point? Or the long streaks where there was a flow of water? You need to know these things because the home inspector can't say, yeah, it's full of water. You need to know this. You also need to have with you a level, a 2-foot level. Right? And I love it. And you need to have a level with you. You need to know the mailbox is level. You need to know your doors are level, your windows are level. Now, say we're now getting on premises and you're with me. Next week, I'm going to walk you through everything that I'm going to look at. Okay? And you might be surprised. Realtors, not getting down on you. I want you to do better. I want you to make more money. I want you to have better repeat clients. And I know how to do it. You can teach me things that I don't know. My responsibility is to increase your quality of life, spiritually, financially. Well, we're wrapping up here in the fourth quarter of another show. I'm so glad you're with us, all of you around this country and the world, and my friends too. We have a great time. I'm Wes Taylor. You can always contact me, Wes at Radio Wes.